I didn't fall in love with her. I fell in love with her bank account. Her last name. Her lifestyle. Emilia Langford. She wasn't just any girl, she was the girl. Daughter of Richard Langford, real estate tycoon. A living headline. Vogue featured, Ivy educated, the kind of woman you didn't date, you strategized to be with. And I had a plan. I grew up dirt poor. I know what hunger feels like. Cold, cracked apartment tiles, coin counting for meals, my mom crying in the bathroom while I pretended not to hear. So no, love wasn't a luxury I could afford. But when Emilia smiled at me at a business gala, I didn't see a woman. I saw an opportunity. And I took it. I like how you don't look impressed by any of this, she had said, swirling champagne in a gold-rimmed flute. Most guys just want my money. I remember laughing, pretending to be flattered, when inside, all I could think was, that's exactly why I'm here, sweetheart. I played the part perfectly. Gentle. Witty. Protective. I memorized her schedule, her moods, her insecurities. I became exactly who she needed. In 3 months, she called me her soulmate. In 6, I moved into her penthouse. And somewhere in between, I started forgetting it was all an act. I started feeling things. She'd sing off-key while brushing her teeth. She'd dance barefoot in the kitchen after closing a deal. She'd pull me close at 2 a.m., whispering, "Promise me you won't leave, everyone does eventually." I should have seen the irony coming. Because she left me. Or rather, she chose him. Her ex. The one with the smirk, the yachts, the tailored arrogance. The man who once cheated on her but came back with a diamond the size of my regret. And you know what I did? I packed my things. No scene. No begging. No revenge. I left a note that said, "Thanks for the ride." Then I vanished. Blocked her. Changed cities. Started over. I was done. But she wasn't. Because now, almost a year later, she's standing in the rain outside my tiny apartment, soaked and trembling, looking at me like I'm the air she forgot she needed. And she's begging me to come back. But this time, I'm not the same man who chased her. And she's about to find out what it feels like to be nothing more than a lesson. My name's Ethan Carter, and I was never supposed to end up in her world. I didn't come from legacy. I came from late rent notices, greasy second jobs, and the kind of neighborhood where the sound of sirens was just part of the night. I didn't grow up dreaming about true love, I dreamed of stability. Of never having to skip dinner so my little sister could eat. Of not watching my mom cry when a bill came in. So when I graduated with a finance degree and landed my first internship downtown, I was already playing catch-up in a race I didn't even know I'd been entered into. That's where I met her, Emilia Langford. She walked into the Langford Tower boardroom like she owned the sky. Elegant, poised, too perfect to be real. Most of us stood when she entered. Not because we had to, because we couldn't not. She wasn't just Richard Langford's only daughter, she was his sharpest asset. Whispers around the company said she negotiated a hostile takeover at 21 and made a grown CEO cry. She sat across from me at a quarterly pitch review, smiled once, and I swear half the room forgot how to breathe. And when she called me refreshing in front of the entire panel, well, I knew then I had 2 choices, keep my head down like a good intern, or take a shot most guys only dream of. I chose the second. It started casual. I offered to walk her to her car after meetings. Brought her coffee, but only when I knew she'd been pulling all-nighters. Learned what she liked, strong opinions, soft music, witty banter. I wasn't her equal, and I knew it. But I made her laugh. And slowly, that was enough. One night, at a Langford charity auction, she pulled me aside. "You're the only one who talks to me like I'm not wrapped in a price tag," she said, holding a glass of red wine, her eyes tired but honest. It's rare. I smiled like a gentleman. But deep down, I thought, that price tag is exactly why I'm here. Except, something shifted. She'd invite me to her place, just to talk, and I'd stay until dawn. I learned she used to sneak out as a teenager to eat street food, just to feel normal. That her father barely acknowledged her outside boardrooms. That she hated champagne but drank it to keep up appearances. She was lonely. Exhausted. And beneath all the polish, she just wanted someone to stay. And me? I was supposed to fake that. But I started meaning it. I'd hold her hand not for show, but because I wanted to. I'd listen, not to gain leverage, but because I cared. Before I realized it, Emilia wasn't just my target. She was my home. And for a while, she made me feel like I was hers too. Then came the cracks, small at first. Whispers from her friends. Her ex, Zachary Blake, popping back up at parties. Her sudden coldness. Cancelled dates. Missed calls. Until one day, she sat me down and said, "Zach wants to try again, and I need time to think." Just like that, I went from lover to backup plan. And I hated how much it broke me. Because somewhere between pretending and planning, I had really fallen for her. And she had just reminded me what I truly was to her all along. Disposable. It started with her phone. Not mine. Hers. I never went through Emilia's things. Not because I trusted her blindly, but because I knew if I started, I'd never stop. And I was scared of what I might find. But that day, the screen lit up while she was in the shower. We were supposed to go out. Her favorite rooftop bar. She'd even picked out a dress and told me she wanted a real date night, just us. The screen flashed once. Then again. Zachary Blake. I froze. The preview read, "Last night was." And then it disappeared. I didn't move. Couldn't breathe. That name, Zach, had hung over our relationship like a storm cloud. Rich, entitled, slick as oil. Her ex from college. The one who cheated. The one her father actually approved of. She always said she was done with him. I told myself maybe it was work. Maybe it was nothing. But something sharp curled in my gut and stayed there. When she came out, towel in her hair, smiling like everything was fine, I didn't say a word. Instead, I said I wasn't feeling well. She looked concerned. Kissed my cheek. Told me to rest. I lied through my teeth. And that night, I followed her. I didn't even know what I was looking for, proof. Closure. Or some twisted validation that I was right to never fully trust someone like her. She didn't go to the rooftop bar. She went to a quiet bistro in the arts district. The kind of place you don't just stumble into. Intimate lighting. Soft jazz. No press. No public attention. I watched from across the street as she walked in, checked her phone, and smiled, that smile. The one I thought she saved for me. Then he walked in. Zach. Crisp blazer. Arrogance practically dripping from his watch. He leaned in, kissed her cheek, and sat down across from her like he still belonged there. I don't remember how long I stood there, frozen in place. Maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 20. But it was long enough to watch her laugh at something he said. Long enough to see her reach across the table and touch his hand. When I finally turned away, my heart wasn't just broken, it was burning. And I knew then. I'd been played. Again. Not just by fate. But by the woman I was slowly starting to think I could trust. I walked back to her place that night like a ghost. She came home late, said she'd gotten drinks with some old girlfriends. She kissed me goodnight. I kissed her back. Silently. I didn't confront her. I didn't explode. I simply started packing. The next morning, I left a note. Thanks for teaching me that even love with the rich still comes cheap. And then I was gone. No goodbye. No closure. No return ticket. She made her choice. But she had no idea what mine would lead to. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. I kept replaying it, the bistro lights, her hand on his, the lies she fed me afterward like it was nothing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smile. That smile that used to melt me now made my stomach twist. Was it always fake? I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding. That maybe I'd read too much into it. That maybe, she didn't mean to lie. But deep down, I knew. Because the truth doesn't show up with a smirk and designer shoes and sit across from your girlfriend like he never left. The truth doesn't reach across the table to touch her hand when she told you she wanted space from her ex. I stared at her photo for hours the night I left. It was taken at the beach, hair windblown, freckles showing, no makeup, just her. Raw. Real. Or at least I thought so. I remembered the way she used to look at me like I was her only safe place. Now I wondered if she ever looked at him the same way. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal. It was the silence. The pretending. She didn't chase me. Not that morning. Not the day after. I kept checking my phone, knowing full well I'd blocked her. My finger hovered over unblock more times than I'd like to admit. Maybe she's confused. Maybe she's scared. Maybe she didn't mean it. But those maybes weren't enough anymore. I told myself I left to move on. To protect whatever scraps of dignity I had left. But in truth, I ran because I couldn't face her. I couldn't look her in the eyes and ask, why wasn't I enough? Because I was scared of the answer. Man, you look like hell, my roommate Jason said one morning, tossing a bag of takeout onto the table. Still thinking about her? I didn't respond. Didn't have to. He sighed, cracking open a soda. Bro, I know you liked her. Liked her? I snapped, my voice sharper than I intended. I didn't just like her. I built my future around her. I saw myself marrying her. I didn't care about the money anymore. I cared about her. Jason leaned back. Then why didn't you fight for her? That question hung in the air like poison. I didn't fight because I thought I didn't deserve to. Because I remembered why I went after her in the first place. For the lifestyle. For the escape. For everything but love. I thought I didn't have the right to ask for her loyalty when I wasn't honest about my intentions either. So I stayed quiet. And I suffered in silence. Every time my phone buzzed, I hoped it was her. Every time I saw someone with long brown hair from behind, I paused, just in case it was Emilia. I'd started over in a new city, modest job, cheap rent, no distractions. But every corner I turned, she haunted me. I wanted to forget. But love isn't a switch you can flip. It's a wound that reopens with every quiet night, every love song, every memory you try to drown. One afternoon, 2 months later, I got a message request on an old social account I barely used. Emilia Langford, please. I know you blocked me. But I need to see you. Just once. I stared at it for a full hour. I didn't respond. Then came another message. This time longer. You left without a word. I understand why. But please don't think for a second that you didn't mean something to me. Zach meant nothing. I only met him that night because my father set it up. I didn't even want to go. I lied because I was scared. Scared that if you knew, you'd think I still had feelings for him. But I didn't. I don't. I only ever wanted you. I dropped my phone. Because now the real question wasn't what had she done. It was, could I believe her? After everything? After the lies? After the way I walked away like she never mattered? Was I just punishing her for making the same mistake I once made? And if she was telling the truth? What then? Could we ever go back? Or had we both already broken something that couldn't be fixed? 2 weeks passed. I hadn't replied. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't trust myself. Emilia had once slipped past all my defenses, and I wasn't sure I could survive that again. But fate doesn't wait for you to heal. One cold Saturday morning, I walked into my favorite corner cafe, half asleep, hoodie on, just craving caffeine, and froze. She was there. Emilia. Hair pulled into a messy bun, coat soaked from the rain outside, no makeup, eyes bloodshot. Not the heiress. Not the goddess from Langford Tower. Just a girl. A girl who looked like she hadn't slept in days. Our eyes met. She stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. Ethan, please, don't walk away. I should've. I meant to. But my legs didn't move. She approached slowly, like I was a wild animal that might bolt. Her voice trembled. I've been looking for you. Everywhere. I kept my jaw tight. You found me. Now what? Her lip quivered. You didn't read the last message, did you? I read enough. No, she whispered. You didn't. She reached into her coat and pulled out a thin envelope. Please. Just read this. If after that you want nothing to do with me, I'll go. I hesitated. Something in her eyes, raw, broken, made it impossible to say no. I took the envelope and left without a word. It took me hours to open it. And when I did, my entire world flipped. Inside wasn't a letter. It was a prenup. A Langford family prenup, addressed to Zachary Blake, signed by him weeks ago. Terms clear as day. It wasn't a reunion. It was a business merger. An arranged marriage proposal orchestrated by her father to recover losses from a risky overseas investment. If she agreed to marry Zach, the Langford name would stabilize. Shareholders would calm. But here's the part that hit hardest. Emilia had refused. She hadn't told anyone. She'd walked away from the wealth, the name, the power, for me. The night I saw her with Zach. It wasn't a date. It was her turning him down to his face. And I left. Without asking. Without listening. Without giving her the chance to explain. I was so convinced I'd been betrayed, I never considered the possibility that she was the one being torn apart. But that wasn't the worst part. At the bottom of the envelope, was a medical report. Her name. Her diagnosis. Autoimmune vasculitis. Moderate to severe. Requires ongoing treatment. She'd been sick. Since the month after I left. And she hadn't reached out to guilt me, or trap me, or play the victim. She just wanted me to know. I sat there in silence for what felt like forever. The girl I thought used me had risked everything for me. And I'd walked away thinking I was the one who was hurt. But now I realized, she'd never begged for me because she was weak. She did it because she had no one else left. That night, I stood outside her building for the first time in nearly a year. The same penthouse I once called home. The place where we used to drink wine on the balcony, where she'd wrap herself in my hoodie and hum old love songs off-key like she wasn't born into a billion-dollar empire. I'd paced the sidewalk for 20 minutes before finally going up. My heart wasn't just racing, it was screaming. When she opened the door, her eyes widened like she didn't believe I was real. Ethan. I took one step in. Why didn't you tell me? Her lips parted. I tried. You blocked me. You left before I could say a word. I saw the prenup. The report. I saw everything. Her voice cracked. Then you know. I know, you were protecting me. That you said no to Zach. That you gave up everything, your name, your family, your company's safety, for me. My voice broke. And I walked away thinking you betrayed me. She looked down. It's okay. I would have thought the same. No, I said, stepping closer. It's not okay. She turned away, moving slowly, weaker than I remembered her being. Her back was to me when she spoke. I was supposed to marry him. My father made the deal months before you came into my life. I didn't know about it until after we started dating. And when you found out? I told him no. Her voice was firmer now. I told him I loved someone else. That I wasn't going to be sold off like a corporate asset. I swallowed. That night at the bistro, I met Zach to end it. Officially. I wanted it to be face to face so he couldn't twist the story. But I knew how it looked, Ethan. I knew the moment I saw you across the street. The way you disappeared. I knew I lost you. Tears welled in her eyes. I thought about chasing you. But I also knew. I hurt you. Even if I didn't mean to. And then the diagnosis came. Everything changed so fast. I should have come back, I whispered. I should have listened. I let my pride get in the way. She turned to face me fully. You didn't owe me anything. Yes, I did. I shouted, and the room went still. I took a breath. Softer now. You weren't just some plan anymore. I wasn't with you for the money. Not after everything. I loved you, Emilia. And I ran like a coward the second it got complicated. She stepped closer. So what now? She asked, voice barely a whisper. You came. You saw. You read everything. What happens now? I looked at her, really looked at her. No diamonds. No armor. Just a girl who looked like she'd given too much of herself away. And for the first time, I wasn't angry. I was terrified, of losing her again. I reached out, brushing a tear from her cheek. I didn't come here to say goodbye. Her breath caught. I came here to say. I still love you. And I'm done running. Her arms flew around me before I even finished the sentence. She buried her face in my chest, sobbing, her whole body trembling in my arms. I thought you'd hate me forever, she cried. I thought I did too, I whispered into her hair. But the truth is, I never stopped waiting for you to come back. We stood there in silence, letting the past collapse behind us. No more secrets. No more pride. Just two broken people trying to piece each other back together. 6 months later, I woke up to the sound of her singing off-key in the kitchen again. Same off-pitch notes. Same messy bun. But everything had changed. We didn't go back to the penthouse. We didn't go back to the champagne parties or charity galas or 5-star reservations. Instead, we built something new, small, quiet, real. A 1-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood where no one knew her name. She took a break from the company. Said she needed time to heal. To find out who she was when she wasn't Richard Langford's daughter, or Zach Blake's ex, or even my girlfriend. I understood. For the first time, we both did. Some days were harder than others. Her treatment left her tired, sometimes frustrated. She hated the feeling of being dependent. But I reminded her every day, love wasn't about being perfect. It was about showing up. Messy, flawed, and human, and staying anyway. We still fought sometimes. About dumb things, who left the fridge open, or who forgot to water the plant. But there was no storm behind the words now. No secrets. No silence that stretched for miles. Just us. Just honesty. One afternoon, as we sat on the floor eating takeout from our favorite Thai place, she reached for my hand. "Do you ever think about how it started?" she asked quietly. I laughed. "You mean when I chased you for your money?" She smirked. "Exactly. I thought I was conning you," I said, staring at the flickering candle between us. "But turns out, you were the one teaching me what it means to feel." She squeezed my hand. "You saved me," she said. "I almost lost you. But you didn't." She smiled. "You came back." I looked at her then, hair messy, eyes soft, chopsticks clumsily stabbing at noodles, and realized that maybe this quiet, ordinary, beautiful chaos, was what love actually looked like. Not fairy tale perfection. Not boardroom power plays. Just two broken people choosing each other every day. And for the first time in my life, that was enough. Emilia didn't beg for her father's approval anymore. She turned down every offer he sent to bring her back into the family company. She even gave up her shares. And me? I finally stopped chasing titles I didn't need. I opened a small consultancy, something quiet, something mine. I didn't need to impress anyone anymore. Least of all her. Because she already knew who I was, even the ugliest parts. And she stayed. A few weeks ago, I found her crying in the bathroom. Not because of pain. Not because of fear. But because the doctor told us her latest scan was clear. She laughed through the tears, wiping her face with the sleeve of my hoodie. "I didn't think I'd make it to this part," she whispered. I kissed her forehead. "You were always going to make it. I won't lie and say everything is perfect now. We still have our ghosts. There are nights I wake up in cold sweat remembering the look on her face the day I left. And there are days she stares off at nothing, remembering the price she paid to walk away from the world she once ruled. But we have each other. And that's more than enough. I once chased her for her money. But in the end, I found something far richer. Not luxury. Not power. Not fame. But love, the kind that stays when everything else falls apart. The kind that brings you home even when you think you're too broken to be loved again." And as she curled up beside me on the couch, resting her head on my shoulder, I knew. I didn't just get the girl. I got the life I never knew I wanted. And I wasn't letting go this time. Not for anything.